All right, everyone. Here we are on yet another edition of the ReEducation Cam podcast. My name is Colin Miller, being joined alongside, as always, by the incomparable, the lovely, the talented Karen O'Toole. Karen, yet another historic weekend here on the Reeducation Camp podcast. We actually did record an episode last week in reaction to the failed assassination attempt on Donald Trump. It
But it was
could.
taken down. It was taken by the censors.
I was going to say something just felt a little off about it to me. It may be a future Patreon episode. But nevertheless, here we are. Like I said, another historic weekend because just moments ago, the 46th president of the United States, the duly elected commander in chief, Joseph R. Biden, has decided to forego the nomination for president. He made a statement on Twitter X just moments ago. And I would like to start off by reading this. This is from Joe Biden's official Twitter account. My fellow Democrats, I have decided not to accept the nomination and to focus all my energies on my duties as president for the remainder of my term. My very first decision as the party nominee in 2020 was to pick Kamala Harris as my vice president. And it's been the best decision I've made. Today, I want to offer my full support and endorsement for Kamala to be the nominee of our party this year. Democrats, it's time to come together and beat Trump. Let's do this. This is from Joe Biden's official Twitter account. So there you have it, Karen. Joe Biden officially, after months, maybe years of speculation, has finally stepped down. He's going to see out the rest of his term, but he has officially endorsed Kamala. Now, I don't know how this is actually going to work because I don't think that the establishment wants Kamala to be the nominee because she's arguably less popular than Biden. I don't think that the polls are going to be any better for the Democrats with Kamala as the front runner. And before we got on air, you were kind of alluding to maybe this is something that Joe Biden did just to kind of, they finally forced him out. They succeeded. So this is sort of his and Jill's last little stab, so to speak. I don't know, like, are there any rules here? If the president says that it's the vice president now, does it automatically go to her? Or is this going to be some sort of contested convention that they're going to have? I truly don't know.
Yeah, I believe it sounds like her delegates might go to his delegates might go to her. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to speak out of term. There's probably a lot of more knowledgeable individuals who have no social life and spent all of their college years, just you understand what I'm saying. You know these people. You
I
understand what
get
these
you.
people are
I
like.
know
If
where
you
you're
went to
coming from.
college, you know these people that like they're really involved in student politics, like in like school government, and they're they're sociopaths and they have like a
Oh, these
glaze
poli
over their
sci
eye.
majors are
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's
worst, and they're
basically like
always
American
Democrats too.
Psycho. Yeah.
Always. It's wild.
Yeah. So we'll leave it to those freaks to talk about it because we are more lighthearted. We're going to take a different approach today, which is more nonsensical. But no, I did think just from a human aspect, I thought perhaps because Alex Jones came out with a video last night saying the great Republican oracle Roger Stone had told him that Hillary Clinton was going to be the candidate.
Right.
So I thought to myself, the only way that that could be the correct, like that, the only way that that was the decision to choose Hillary Clinton again is if they know their ballot stuffing. Like if they know they're stealing the election, Hillary's the person and they're just like, F you, America. We could put literally anybody in this candidacy and we're going to win. And we have enough people, on disability, on welfare who are just going to show up and pull that Democratic ticket. But like you said,
I know
so
some of them.
yeah,
Some of them I could be related to
preach.
some of them.
Yes, yeah, I think we all could be related. We all have somebody in our family that, but But yeah, like I said, I think I do I'm not sure. Like either there's one of two things happen. Either the party sat down, they had all these meetings, they had these agreements, and they forced Joe into this because as you we could all see time and time again, Joe was digging his heels in. He was not going anywhere. He's the ultimate silent generation white hair boomer. Okay. He refused to leave his job. He liked having his power. He liked having his status. And there was no way in hell he was going to leave on, of his own volition. And like we see this across the board. We see this with broadcasters. We see this with professors. We see this in government. We
We
see
see this
this
with professional
pretty much
wrestlers.
with professional wrestling, pretty much any job. This is the way, this is what people need to understand. A lot of these individuals have sacrificed I mean, we can see what kind of father Joe Biden is as a result of the chaos that has ensued
A
in his
great
family,
father,
right? A great
right?
father.
Like the absolute best dad
But
of the year of the
But
millennium.
a lot of these, as I make the distinction, white hair versus boomer. Boomer is a more whole cloth description of a generation. White hair is a segment of that population. The white hairs were privileged. Think they went to universities. They probably didn't go to Vietnam, but they protested and did a lot of drugs. They got these cushy jobs. They got these appointments. They did terrible jobs raising their children because they were all about themselves, all about their homes in the suburbs. And what they have done is wholly destroyed everything that as America has stood for in pursuit of their own pleasure and their own self-aggrandizement. And that is Joe Biden. He is the embodiment of that. And we have to understand that if Joe Biden is not President Joe Biden, he is not politician Joe Biden, he is nothing because we all can see it. We know that if he had any real family, any real relationship with his family, they would never let him be an embarrassment like he is. So I think we have to understand that these people, they refuse to step down because they are shells of human beings if they do not have these positions of power or influence. And that is why they refuse to go anywhere. So like I said, if you see, just at a micro level, you see a professor, well, his children don't talk to him. If he has children, a lot of these older women who decided like not to have kids and stuff and just to live for themselves, like this is all they are. This is their identity. This is Joe Biden's identity. I mean, he's been doing this since he was like 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? So like, he doesn't know anything else but this. He has destroyed any sense of himself and he has sacrificed everything for this to be the president, to be to be in this position of power. And a life without this is certain death to him. It's something that he can't be face to face with. So, and also, I mean, if he's not in charge, if they don't win this election, guess who's going to be on the chopping block? Guess who's to blame? It's the Bidens. And they will wholly, I don't know that they would send them to jail like they're doing, or they would prosecute them like they've done with Trump, but they will use them as scapegoats and they know it because they're not using the Obamas as scapegoats. They're our golden children. It's like a narcissistic, all these people are narcissists. It's a den of vipers. And there's always the golden child and the scapegoat. Obama's the golden child. Biden is the scapegoat, him and Jill. Big Mike and Barry, they're the golden children.
I just had to look something up really quick while you were talking because
Sorry,
I
as
was
I went
thinking,
off.
no, that sent me off on another chain of thought because I was thinking, how old is Joe Biden right now? Is he 81
He's
currently?
80. Yeah, I think he just turned 82, didn't he? I don't know.
Let's see here. Joe Biden is currently, how old is this guy? Yeah, he's 81 years old. He's going to be 82 this November. This guy has been in this political game since 1972. In 1972, Biden became one of the youngest senators in U.S. history after he defeated Senator J. Caleb Boggs, a popular Republican who had served 2 terms. His campaign was a gamble. So this guy, I think he got elected. I think he got elected when he was 29 years old, actually. So
Yeah,
this is the
29,
only
yeah.
This is the only thing that he has ever known. And I've always simplified this to people when discussing politics. How do you become, if you're an elected official, an elected public servant, how do you become a multimillionaire doing that? I mean, the job only pays what, like 100 grand in most cases. So why would you spend $1 million on a job that only pays 100 grand? I mean, that in itself is inherently fishy or suspicious, or at least it should be in a rational, logical mind. But I digress. This guy, like you said, he's been doing this his entire life. This is all he knows. Without this, he has absolutely nothing. It's not like he has a good relationship with his family. It's not like well, in his case, he's in the late stage. Is he in the early stages of dementia, do you think? I mean, he's not with it. He's gone. You
Yes,
can
he's definitely somewhere in the one of those stages. I don't know the scientific, breakdown, but
right.
it's definitely somewhere. Like if it's on a stage from 1 to 5, he's at like
Yeah.
3,
Is
right?
this
Like
like
so he's
early onset dementia? Is this
yes.
late stage dementia? I
Yes,
truly
yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
But even like if you watch clips of him speaking 4 years ago, he was considerably more coherent. He
Even
was
the way he
considerably.
looked.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks like the crypt keeper now. He has for quite some time. And like I said, this has been like years in the making, really, because since he first got in, there was discussion. Since he was first inaugurated in January of 2021, there have been ongoing discussions like, is this guy really gonna is he gonna do multiple terms? Is he even gonna see out this term? So looks like he's gonna see out this term, but I wonder when this decision was actually officially made, because of course we're just getting the announcement today. But did you see that video of Trump? This was pre-assassination, when he was in the golf cart and he was talking to some people, and he's
After the
like,
debate, right?
yeah, yeah. After the debate, he's like, "Yeah, I heard that he's stepping down now. He decided to step down." That was Trump saying this weeks ago in the golf cart, that he heard that Biden was stepping down. So really, I wonder what the actual time frame was of this decision, even though we're just getting the official announcement today. So it's going to be so fascinating to see how this plays out, because as you've seen with the Democratic Party, with the DNC, there's really no rules per se. I mean, they can just kind of, change things around willy-nilly as they feel. I mean, look at the primary that Joe Biden won. I mean, they did everything in their power to make sure that RFK and even that other candidate, Marianne Williamson, they did everything in their power and just changed the rules on a whim to ensure that they had absolutely no chance whatsoever. So even though Biden says in this official statement on Twitter that he's endorsing Kamala, do his delegates automatically go to her? And then there's the super delegates. And my understanding of the super delegates is that they can literally endorse whoever they want. They can do however they feel. I mean, the super delegates are the DNC's fix to kind of anoint whoever they choose behind closed doors. So I don't know, man. Is it going to be Kamala? Can they, if they do try and force her out? Well, wait a second. That's kind of going against their progressive values, because you're forcing out a woman of color for Hillary Clinton, for Gavin Newsom. I don't know. I think right now, as I'm sitting here, I feel like Kamala is going to be the nominee, and her VP will be Governor Gavin Newsom of California. That'll be the progressive Democratic dream team. But I don't think it's going to make a bit of difference in the polls, though. I really don't think that
Yes.
people are going to
Yeah.
be, they would have a better chance if they did go with Michelle Obama, if they did get her to run, because like I said, she's got more of a star appeal. She's more of a household name, more of a celebrity than these two are. So I feel if they went with her, which I thought they were going to do all along, since the DNC is going to be in Chicago, because I really do think of this in professional wrestling terms. And it's like, okay, so they booked it in Chicago. They booked it so, the hometown hero, Michelle Obama, could come out and say that she is reluctantly stepping up at the behest of this, this outcry of, Michelle, please come help save us. I didn't want to do this, but I figured that was how they were sort of booking this thing. But it's really anybody's guess at this point. But yeah, right now I'm gonna say Kamala, Newsom. That's your progressive dream team to defeat the evil fascist dictator Donald
Yes.
John Trump.
Well, I did just look up real quick, and Democracy Docket spoke with an expert who, like I said, is probably a glazed eye sociopath that had no friends in school and wanted to just clerk with senators when he was 17 years old and do whatever nefarious background information that they do. And whatever little projects they send those clerks on. But they said that there is no guarantee that she will get all the delegates there. So it's not a slam dunk. I guess obviously with the support and the endorsement of the sitting president, the leader of the party, in a sense, it's obviously a little bit more in her favor, and there's people going around her. And I know that there was a lot of talk about the money being easily released to her. It was a lot quicker to it wasn't as there's like a rule with the money goes to like the vice presidential candidate. It was easier for her to get the funds. But like they said, there's no slam dunk. And you brought up a really interesting point. Now there's going to be, if Kamala is the presumed candidate, who then is the vice president? Who is the vice president on the ticket? So
Gavin, I mean, he's been in the
Gavin.
media the most, I feel. He has been the most vocal about this whole situation. He came out and endorsed Biden. He said we got to stick with Biden regardless of his debate performance, which we know that was theater. All of the Democrats that stood up for Biden, like Obama and Gavin Newsom,
George
you
Clooney.
know that was just BS. They had to say that to save face. Really, behind the scenes, they're kind of just, sharpening their knives and getting prepped for what's about to go down, so to speak.
Here's something I wanted to talk about, because there were articles that came out that people were angry with Katzenberg, one of the big like movie moguls in Hollywood, that they said that Katzenberg didn't let on how much Biden had declined. And then we also have George Clooney writing this op-ed in the New York Times about, even though he had just said that Biden looked good about 3 weeks previously, then he writes this op-ed that I believe Joe Scarborough said was at the, the asking or the prompting of Obama, who's apparently really running the Democrat Party, so George Clooney comes out with this op-ed and says, you know what, I love Joe Biden, but it's time for him to go. And here's my question. Why exactly is Katzenberg from Hollywood and George Clooney making all of these calls for the Democratic Party? Like,
right.
I don't understand this connection. But on the flip side, like as I make those comments, we also saw Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan and the UFC head were the people that introduced Donald Trump at the RNC. So
they have more credibility, actually, I think, than George Clooney and this Katzenberg guy.
But here's the deal. I don't think that was more of the show, right? Like when you look at the Republican National Convention, you have Hulk Hogan coming out, you have Kid Rock being cringy, and then you have Dana White, right? So you have these people, but that's part of the pomp and circumstance. I don't believe that they're really calling the shots. Like Dana White's not really like Hulk Hogan, Kid Rock. They're not part of like the party. They're just the hype guys for this event, for the big show, right? So it's not like the concert.
Whereas it seems like George Clooney actually has like influence
and Katzenberg,
on people policy.
Yes, and Katzenberg is like, people are angry with Katzenberg for how he depicted the state of Biden's mental decline. And like I said, it was kind of just confusing for me to read that because, like you said, why are they so enmeshed in what's happening in the party? Which at the same time, you can also argue that they are a big industry and they're big players in the industry, apparently. And also, I know George Clooney's wife is she's a lawyer, I believe, a prosecutor or lawyer at the Hague in Brussels. So I know he's a
Correct.
little bit more involved in the political spectrum, but still, it was a little uneasy
Why do
hearing
these
all of
people really
that.
care who's president? Because they're going to be fine no matter
No
what. These
matter,
people have got millions and millions of dollars. It really, truly does not matter. So
well,
why do you think that is? That they're so,
as
you
we've
know,
discussed in the past, it's the same reason when I was 17, I thought that politics mattered and why I thought I was more enlightened than my fellow classmates who knew nothing about politics because it's a pride thing, it's an ego thing. Like you think you're so much wiser and more enlightened and you're doing important things. You're changing the world. And it's like, you know who's changing the world? Kim Kardashian. Okay? She got
damn
that thing
right.
side. She was like completely not involved and then she came and got that that bill passed with Trump with the Prison Reform
Was
Act.
that the
But
First Step Act?
yes, yeah, that
Is that
was
what that's
somehow
called?
Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. But okay, really they're not. Let's leave them out of it. Kendall Jenner, Justin Bieber, Haley Bieber, like they're changing the world. Okay. They're Britney Spears
Hey,
changing the world. All
I want to
right.
say
Like,
something about Kendall Jenner. It's amazing how she became like the most natural looking,
mm-hmm,
most beautiful
mm-hmm.
Kardashian. What an interesting turn of
Turn of
events there.
events.
Because like
Yeah.
Kim and company got more alien looking, they got more work done, more filler, more plastic surgery, whatever. And Kendall has just a very naturally
Kendall looks,
beautiful
yeah,
look
even though
about her.
she clearly has a lot of work done, which she'll probably deny, and I'll probably get a lawsuit for claiming this. But
Eventually, we'll get some sort of
yeah,
lawsuit for something we say on here for
we'll be
sure.
we'll be we won't even make it out of the
No.
garage. Yeah. So so yeah, so like I said, like I think really it has a lot to do with these people. It's goes back to the whole white hair thing. I'm just it's what makes them feel like they're important. So George Clooney can sit around because of course like George Clooney meets with his wife's friends who are these highly intelligent, well-educated people and it's like, so what exactly do you do? And George Clooney is like, I was in ER. I was the star. And which George Clooney is a great actor. Like if you've ever seen No Brother Where Art Thou, it's a fantastic film. Like, why do you need to cross the Rubicon? Like just stay over there. But it's an ego thing. It's all about ego. It's all about feeling important. And I really feel like that's the reason why they're so involved with it, to be honest
While
with
we're on the subject of George Clooney, I wanted to read the Truth Social post that Donald Trump made a few weeks ago. This was like around like July 11th, I want to say. So Trump said, "So now fake movie actor George Clooney, who never came close to making a great movie, is getting into the act. He's turned on Crooked Joe like the rats they both are. What does Clooney know about anything? He used the Democrat talking point that Biden, the worst president in the history of the United States, has saved our democracy. No, Crooked Joe was the one who weaponized law enforcement. Da, da, da. The thing I wanted to hit on, though,
you."
and I really agreed with Trump here about this the most, was that I started to think like, did has George Clooney ever really made a truly great movie? And I started thinking about like, do I even now I'm a pretty big movie film connoisseur. Do I even own any movies like on Blu-ray that George Clooney has even starred in? I think his best movie, truthfully, is The Perfect Storm. Now, granted, I haven't
Yeah.
seen Oh Brother Where Art Thou. I know everybody always
Oh
goes on
yeah,
about
you gotta
that.
go. Yeah.
I probably do need to go and check that one out. But other
But is
than
that
like
George Clooney that made it great? I mean, he was good, but
I like The Perfect Storm. The Perfect Storm has great rewatch value. Mark Wahlberg's in it. He's got a nice beard in it. Who else is in it?
So
John
Marky
C.
Mark is what's really, really bringing the heat. The
Yeah,
real heavy hitter.
John C. Riley's in it. Go check out The Perfect Storm
Okay.
if you want to see,
I haven't seen it in a long time, yeah. Or I don't know if I've ever actually sat and watched it. You're right. Now that you bring this to my attention, I really only have a soft spot for Oh Brother Where Art Thou. And I
yeah.
think that George Clooney was a horrible Batman from what I recall. And why can't he make George Clooney great again? Okay. Why doesn't he just
Yeah,
focus on that? Like stop
focus on
focusing
making
on
George Clooney great again, and don't
yes.
worry about politics. Don't worry about what's going on in the world. You're going to be fine. You've got, God knows, hundreds of millions of dollars. But yeah, that's just a little, side footnote, since we are sort of an entertainment-esque podcast. That, in my opinion, I agree with Trump. I don't think that George Clooney has ever made a
He's a fake
truly
movie actor.
great. He's a fake movie actor. I mean, that's an
I
accurate
mean,
term.
just like based off that Truth Social post alone, like he should win. Okay. Like he's calling it like it is. And like you said, we see why. But yeah, so it should be interesting to see. And I did notice that in Trump's speech, like he had recently made some shots at Kamala. So I think that maybe he was tipped off about what was going to happen
He had
next.
to have been,
Yeah.
because, like I
Yeah.
said, go watch that golfing video. He says right there, "Yeah, Joe. I hear Joe said he's dropping out, or something to that effect." So I think that this has been, if I had to bet, this has been decided. Like
This has been in the
very very
making.
quickly post debate, this was decided, and now it's just they were just waiting. Timing. It
They're
was
just
all about the
haggling on the
timing.
price, just haggling on the price
Right.
where the Bidens were going to be. But I do feel like really the people that ultimately suffer the most from this are the American people, are the millennials like
I thought you were gonna
us.
say Hunter. That's
I
who
actually thought
suffers.
that too. Like, okay, number one, now it's time for Joe to step aside. Wait, why can't it be a Kamala Hunter Biden ticket? That's
I
what
was
we
just
need.
I was visiting with my parents last night, and I was saying, like, if Hunter was the nominee, truthfully, like, most of my values like align with his, because like Hunter's just all about having a good time. It's about,
Yes.
legal prostitution, legalized drugs, no gun laws, no speed limits. Just like he's more of like an anarchist, really. And I think that might be,
We need that spirit.
a
We need that
nice, yeah,
spirit.
yeah, we need that renegade. We need the spirit of somebody who's chasing a hooker down a hotel hallway with a chainsaw. That's the kind of energy that we need in our political candidate, in my
Well,
opinion.
well, too, that Joe Biden was really, I really appreciated like Joe Biden made that press conference and he said, like, 9 o'clock is late for a debate. And I agreed with him. I thought 9 o'clock was really late. I was very upset the other night that Joe, I said to my husband, I said, find out what time I'm like doing the dish. Find out what time Trump is going to be making his speech. We look it up. It's at 10 o'clock. 10
Oh,
o'clock.
dude,
So
I
yeah.
I was exhausted watching this RNC, because I did live stream it every night, and I stayed up the whole way. I stuck there until the bitter end. But oh my God, this whole these late nights is just too much. And that
Yes.
that was supposed to be the theme. We were really the whole Trump assassination attempt really kind of threw us for a loop, because we had this whole episode prepared about how, Joe Biden, as you were saying earlier, he's like the ultimate quiet quitter.
Yes.
He quiet quit long ago. He's in bed by,
7.
yeah, 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 by 7. And that's something that I can really relate to, because I love, Karen, there's nothing better than being in bed at like 8 p.m. ish. Like,
When the sun's
just
still out.
oh yeah, yeah, the sun's still out. You just snuggle up in bed with with the blinds drawn, 8 p.m. ish, the cat's curled up there. Oh, it's like my favorite activity in the entire world. So in that regard, I really related to Biden. And we were
Yes.
supposed to talk about that last week, but then of course, the unfortunate events due to the sloped roof, those god those sloped roofs, I'll tell you what, they will really they'll throw a monkey wrench into your security detail.
But like, yeah, as you said, Joe Biden making some like Trump, my husband and I both fell asleep during a speech. It was over an hour and a half long. And at 10 o'clock at night. And like I said, Joe Biden was like, listen, I'm not staying up till 12 o'clock at night. And I'm like, nor should he. Why
Yeah,
should
no,
the
nor
president
should
have
he,
to
and
say
nor should I, and nor should you.
we have realized after so much science and so much study that sleep is important. I want my president well rested. I want my president to be enjoying a nice scoop and a nice bowl of ice cream at a comfortable time and in his jammies at like
Oh,
9 p.m. So he's well rested to take on the next day. Now, I know that Joe Biden might not be firing all cylinders, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm a fan of this like workaholic presidency. It's like the top down
we
and
need less
really
of that in this
we need
country.
less. I
Way
was thinking
less.
about this. It's now time for America to retire. Joe Biden is a quiet quitter. Maybe Kamala can lead us into retirement. Like we've given the world the automobile. We gave them the jet. We've given them the space race. We've given them flying to the moon first.
We gave them the
We've
Kardashians.
given them the Kardashians. We gave them Michael Jackson. We've given them Hollywood. We've given like
Michael Jordan.
when do we get to retire? When do we get to rest? And I think that Joe Biden was ushering that into the United States. And I feel like that's a message that a lot of millennials and Gen Zers can relate to. So I think it's in Kamala's best interest to get up there and say, we're going to 4-day work week in America. We've done enough. We've been
I,
workaholics for far too long. We need to reset. We are reining it back in. We're going to all be about rest. We're going to be like the Italians. Okay. We're going to take
yes.
siestas. Yeah. Like
Yes.
that's what it is time for America to retire. We are sick of being workaholics. Hey, if she said that, I might vote for her instead of Trump. I might be like,
Oh
you know
yeah.
what? He's up too much. Like, why is he
I
tweeting at 4
I
a.m.?
know.
Let's go
I
to
know it's
bed.
too much, just the go, go,
Too
go, the
much.
constant, just
Yeah.
running all the time. It's like, no, we need a greater work-life balance here. Just
Yes.
shave a day off of this ridiculous 40-hour work week. And we need to introduce the concept of like a long lunch during the workday. Like
Yes.
they give you this measly half hour, by the time you get yourself together and heat up your chili or whatever in the microwave and sit down, it's like 20 minutes have gone by. You know what I mean? And then you got to scarf down your rice pilaf or your beef stroganoff, and then run back to your little cubicle or your little desk there. We need to introduce the concept of the siesta. Like a nice long lunch. And it's like after the lunch, like maybe you go back to the office, maybe you don't, maybe
Yeah.
that's it. Maybe you feel like, okay, you know what? That's good enough for the day. That's more of the mindset. You're right. This country has given you enough culture. It's given you enough security throughout the years. We're bled dry now. We're tired. We're strung out. We're cranky. We're ornery. It's time to just take a deep breath, let it out. More meditation, more relaxation, more just go out on the patio and just don't even take your phone. Just like leave the phone
Yes.
inside, go out on the
Yes.
patio and just sit and just like stare at a cloud and just watch the cloud for like a half
Yes.
hour to an
And not
hour.
think about your phone. Don't think about your emails. That's the problem. It's like, no, I do not want to get in a flow state. No, I don't want the productivity hacks. Like, no, I don't want to get up at
Yeah,
5
you can take
a.m.
your
Like,
hacks and what you could do with your little hacks. I think ridiculous.
but yeah, so that's why I'm sad for the American people. And I think that that's why like Joe Biden is the quiet quitter. That's why Hunter should lead us into the promised land. Like Hunter should take on the mantle, lead us into a new era of relaxation, time on the beach, just art, like pursue art, like pursue our interests. And
Yeah.
that's what we need. We don't need this workaholic, ridiculous. It's just so hopefully Kamala and Hunter, it can be Kamala Hunter 2024. And it's time to relax again. Time to relax.
Yes.
Yes,
Time
yeah.
that should be the friggin' campaign slogan. It's
Time to
time
relax.
to relax again. And there should be like I mentioned earlier, there should be a legalized escort element to this whole thing, because there's a lot of us guys out there, like we have needs, but we don't want to get bogged down in this ridiculous relationship. It's like, oh honey, we gotta go to my mom's. No, no, I'm not going to see your stupid family. I don't want to see them. I don't want anything to do with them. Sometimes you just want some company, for that night to just sit down and like watch Pulp Fiction, and like have some popcorn. You know what I'm saying? And then they can leave after that, because by that time you've just all your energy's been zapped. You're annoyed. So we need like a high, like affordable, legalized escorts that are high end
Affordable.
at our disposal, almost sort of like an Uber. So, does this sound? I guess this is very like unchristian and uncatholic of me, really, since like you're supposed to be finding somebody to settle down with, but it's just sounds so exhausting, Karen. Truly, it does.
Well, yeah, and then the Republicans that are supposedly, and that's the thing, we didn't even get to really talk about the RNC, but I was going to say, the Republicans or the right wing that supposedly are the arbiters of like family values and morality. It's like every single person that got up on that stage was like the most demoralizing
Oh my God.
figure in like the media.
They had a porn star with a face tattoo who's literally posting pictures, like demonic pictures of her with like 9-inch nails, wearing like a Lucifer face paint.
Oh my
That's the kind of
goodness.
content that she's posting.
Like
That
it's
was one of
pretty
their.
bad when Kid Rock's like the most wholesome person on the stage.
Oh
Like,
my God. And I was thinking too, like as I'm watching like all the boomers, like this was like a scene
oh,
out of the
cringe.
Villages. I don't know if you're familiar with the Villages in
Yes.
Florida. It's like the STD capital of America. It's where all the boomers go to retire, and they go and they see the local band, that's playing Mustang Sally, and they're out there and they're dancing with their
And
drinks, and they have a.
they do the golf cart parade for Trump. They did a golf
Yes.
cart, and there was like a big fight between the Biden boomers
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the Trump boomers. Yeah, yeah.
Totally.
Look
Yeah,
up
this
that video, everyone. The
yeah.
boomers, the Trump at the villages in Florida.
Yes, I am very close to the Villages where I live. I have not been there in a long time because it's just really not my scene. If you know what I'm
It
saying.
should be, because there might be some boomer woman there with some cash for you. But
That's
go ahead.
true. And maybe like she does yoga too, and like Pilates, and really keeps like
Stop
a
you.
top.
That's your problem. You get back to the shallow. You need to take
I
whatever you
know.
can get as long as she has some money. Like that's
I
what you
want a
need to be
tight
getting
core
at.
though, Karen. A
Okay.
tight, taut core is like very important to me, even though I don't have a tight, taut core. But I'm the guy though, so there's some it's
Yeah.
different. You know what
Well,
I mean?
Trump would bring that back. Trump would make women's cores great again.
Yeah, we really
All
need to
right.
focus on that. Planking, Pilates, but go ahead.
But okay, RNC, there were all these demonic figures. What we were talking about how I don't even
We
remember.
were talking about Amber Rose. They had a demonic porn
Yes,
star speak.
yes.
They had Kid Rock speak. I went off on
My
the
chair is so
Villages. And I just
squeaky
wanted to
today.
say, if these boomers only knew the original lyrics to Kid Rock's American Badass, they were heavily,
Oh, yes,
heavily
the boomers at
altered.
the RNC. Oh, I didn't realize. I honestly sat there and said to my husband, I said, "Is this a real song? Like, did he just make this up last week?" I had no idea what
That's
he
a
was
real
singing.
song.
My
That
husband, don't
is.
worry, my husband reassured me. He's a little bit he knows he's he's dabbled a little bit more in the white trash Americana for me. So I was like, okay, okay. Although I love white trash, and I love to
Oh, I do
dabble in
too.
it
I
as
mean, I
well.
love Britney
But
Spears. You
we
know
love
this.
Britney. But yeah, so he told me that yes, that is a real song. And so I like I said, does he sing the cowboy song, like cowboy?
Yeah, yeah, that's Kid
Okay,
Rock.
okay.
That's Kid
That's like,
Rock.
I guess that's the only Kid Rock song and I know the F Joe Biden song.
As I
And
was watching him though, I'm like, okay, he's playing American Badass. Is he going to include the lyric where he says, "I said F high school, pissed on my diploma"? Is he going to include the lyric where he says, "I'm going to F some hoes after I rock this place"? These are some of the lyrics in the
I didn't
original.
even realize he's like, I'm gonna F the Kentanji Brown Jackson. I'm gonna
After I rock this place, right?
after I rock this place.
He didn't include those lyrics though. He did. It was altered and censored to a more boomer
Agreeable for the
friendly
boomer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But to your point, though, this RNC convention, it looked it in many ways, it was more progressive oriented than a DNC convention. And I say progressive meaning in the parlance of our times, progressive.
yes.
You
Yeah.
know, just very degenerate. I guess would
Well,
be the word.
I'm really, the way to top it is if the DNC just completely sacrifices a child to Molech on the stage. Like that's the only way for them to
I
really
hope we
like
see
live
that
it up.
actually.
Yes, that might
I hope
occur.
they need to
Yeah.
top it.
Yeah, they do need to top the degeneracy and the lack of morality we saw. But it was just like I said, it's just it's well, there's a Bible verse for this because I got to bring a Bible verse in every
Of
episode.
course.
So, we do the horoscope and the Bible verse. I
I
am
have a
not
Bible
a
verse too, but you
believer
go
in the
ahead.
horoscope, but there is Bible verse that says, "You worship me with your lips, but your hearts are far from me." And I think that's really a lot of what we saw at the RNC is just a display of people who say that they acknowledge it. And that's how I feel about Donald Trump. Okay, here we go. We're getting into it. So Donald Trump, I watched this, I watched this. I actually had to watch it in parts because I fell asleep the first time because I thought it was over with. Um, and Trump, I think, is very similar to a lot of the people that are represented at the RNC and just in general, where we acknowledge that God is God, right? We acknowledge that this is the one true God, that Christ is King. And hey, and a lot of us can kind of do this in our own lives. Like I'm not saying that I'm not just putting this on these people, but I think it's really, really what we are seeing in this country and what we are seeing, especially at the RNC. And I believe it is Donald Trump's relationship with God as well. I believe that there is respect for God, but I do not believe that they have made God their God. He's not Donald Trump's God. He's God, but he's not Donald Trump's God. And even after the assassination attempt, I disagreed with a lot of people. They projected onto Donald Trump the way they saw the assassination attempt, and they said, Donald Trump, first people speculated and they said, you have to be changed after this. You have to be changed after an event like this. And then you heard people after the speech, after some of the interviews, and they said, he's changed. He's a changed person. And I think after listening to that speech, and he spoke again for about 2 hours yesterday, I don't believe that Donald Trump has changed at all. And
Neither do I, to be
yes,
honest with
no,
you.
I think he is the same person. I think if anything, he is more emboldened, he is more prideful, he is more believing in his own power and his own strength. I believe that there is a part of him that fears God and he recognizes like, okay, yes, like God saved me, but I think it's almost a prideful, it's a warping. It's not humility. It is not humility. It is actually God saved me because I am so great and I am so powerful. It was not God saved me and I'm so humbled. What does God want me to do? God saved
I'm
me
the
because
chosen one.
I am the chosen one. Yes. And it's almost scary. Like it's almost like I sit there and I'm like, should I vote for him? Like maybe he really is the Antichrist,
I've been
but
struggling with the same thing.
yes, but at the same time, bring it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm ready. Like, the way I see it is, it's gonna happen. So we might as well just go along with it for the ride. And like, we need a little bit of a shakeup. We just talked about how, we need to end this workaholic stuff in this country. We need to get back to God. We need to get back to the essentials, the fundamentals. We need to get back to morality. And the best way to do that is to have a dictator that, tries to kill half the country. So that's, probably the way it's
I
going to go down.
I put my stamp of
Not,
approval on that. But in all seriousness, though, as I was listening to his RNC acceptance speech, I
yes.
was sort of surprised. Maybe I shouldn't have been surprised about this, but I was sort of surprised at how subdued it was. And I don't know if you remember his 2016 RNC acceptance speech, but if you go back and you compare and contrast 2016 to 2024, I understand the guy is 8 years older. I understand he's been through a lot, to say the least. However, not just his demeanor, but it's the rhetoric. There is a stark contrast in the rhetoric from 2016 to 2024, because now basically this could
He's a
really be any
politician.
this could be any Republican candidate. This sounds like it's going to be a Republican presidency. We're going to cut taxes, this and that. Whereas in 2016, there was an anti-establishment, a firm anti-establishment rhetoric that he was talking about, where we're going to go in there, we're going to drain the swamp, we're going to purge the deep state, we're really going to change the system, where now it's just like, I feel like the best we can hope for out of a second Trump administration truly is that the price of things are going to go down, groceries will be more affordable, maybe the interest rates will go down. Hopefully we'll get out of this war in Ukraine, although I am a little bit worried about us actions in the Middle East ramping up based upon his VP pick. And let's talk about that for a second. If I just got shot in the face, okay, like if I was almost assassinated on live national TV, I would choose somebody as my VP, not somebody who, recently came around and saw the light. I would choose somebody who was there with me right from the get-go. Somebody who was a loyalist from the right from the time I came down that golden escalator up until now. Somebody who's always been there for me. I mean, that would make sense, right? If you were almost assassinated, you would really want somebody who you could trust. You wouldn't, at least I wouldn't pick somebody who was calling me the American Hitler and calling me a racist and this and that, and basically spewing all of the Democrat talking points. And that's what JD Vance was doing up until he decided to run for Senate, and he needed that Trump endorsement to run for Senate. And I hate to be negative and I hate to be a black pillar, and I certainly don't want to crap all over this guy, but there's something about him that I don't trust. And I don't see how, as a logical, rational human being who looks at things from every angle, you've got to look at this guy's background, you've got to look at his connections. Peter Thiel, one of the top globalists, a CIA contractor who his company Palantir, I think they sell software as a
Mm.
service to the CIA, the NSA. He's got all these intelligence agency connections, buddies, business partners with Peter Thiel. I don't know. I'm kind of getting the vibe that this could be a bit of an LBJ situation, and I hate to say that, but I mean, what's your opinion, Karen? Do you really think that JD Vance saw the light, or do you think that he kind of went with the wind and he saw that Trump really was not much of a threat to the establishment? So,
I
okay,
think
this is the way I'm going now. What do you think?
I think it's a combination because like I said, I'm kind of like I'm somebody, I've talked many times that I voted for Trump both times, planning on voting for Trump again. I've all along the way. But in a lot of ways with a lot of reluctancy. So I think with JD Vance, like I get it. Like I think here's my take why because I too was surprised. I was surprised that he would pick somebody that had made such really egregious statements about his character and about him,
And
and
not
like
that long
he's
ago
and
either.
not
It's not
that
like
long
this was
ago.
20
Yes,
years
yeah,
ago
yeah.
or
Because
even a
you
decade ago.
yeah, because we all know how Trump is, and he's not one to quickly forget and definitely one to hold a grudge. But what I thought about this is just my take, right? This is just totally no, this is completely without any expert analysis. This is taking politics off the shelf, like just what I saw, just one woman's perspective, which is probably not worth much because number one, women are not respect it. Nor
Yours is
should they
worth
be. No, I'm kidding.
more. I
No, no,
I
no.
put your perspective on the level of a man. Actually, I give certain women like
Special, yeah.
special privileges.
Like Kamala.
Yeah, like
She's
Kamala. Yeah, like Kamala. So you, Kamala, other
Big
women in my
Mike.
life, I put them on the
Yeah.
same. You get it.
No, I'm just joking. I was just making a joke about how women should, be subservient and they're the weaker sex. But
Well,
just a joke, people. But one woman's
a
perspective.
joke.
So I watched the video where they that was released by the MAGA, MAGA Inc. or whatever you want to call it,
The
the Trump
extreme mega
campaign. Yes,
Republicans.
yeah. So I watched the little, the little promo video they put together, and it was very short. It was like a 40-second clip. But in the clip, Trump and brings JD Vance up to the stage. And when he brings him, he introduces, he's like, oh, coming up is JD Vance. And JD takes the podium and Trump stands back. And the way that Trump looks at JD Vance in that moment caught my eye. And like I said, this is just one woman's perspective, but it was so out of character for Trump. He looked at him with such adoration. And I don't believe that that's an emotion that he has very often. And I thought to myself, perhaps is this, Trump went to military school. He did not end up, they say about the bone spurs. I don't know the whole history. I don't know exactly why. Trump, like I said, respects God. He has a fear of God. It's not his God, but he has a respect for God. And I think that Trump, a lot of times, these people that cannot live up to the characterization that they respect it in other people. So the fact that JD Vance was a Marine, the fact that he has, he worked really hard. He really did come from, a working class family, worked his way up, joined the Marines, worked his butt off to get through college, got
He was
into
a desk
Yale.
marine, though. I just want to say
Well,
that
he was,
there
but
was
he
no
did.
tour
I
of
did read
combat.
his, yes, but he did. But as my brother pointed out, he said the journalist, he ended up being put in journalism. And my brother's in the military. You don't necessarily get to choose what you do, especially at 18 or 19 years old. They divvy you up to what your strengths are and what you are able to do. So clearly he was an intelligent guy and they put him there. And as my brother pointed out, a lot of times the people that are put on the journalism, like put on that toward duty, he said they see a lot of action. Like they do see.
Okay.
So he did say, my brother said, like I have to say, a lot of people want to say that about him, but I think those are a lot of people that haven't actually gone to Iraq themselves. So that's just the way I feel about it. But I might be a little partial because I read his book. But what I'm saying is, I think that Trump looks, perhaps this is just what I saw in that glance, in that moment, in some of what I've seen of Trump and JD Vance together. I believe that there is a part of Trump that sees JD Vance and actually, and maybe he sees him as perhaps a son, you know what I'm saying? Like a son that he didn't have.
A
Maybe
little
he
doughy son
sees, maybe, yes,
with
maybe
little
he
beady
sees
eyes.
a side of himself that he wishes he could be. A lot of times, people that don't have a lot of integrity in their own lives, they respect the integrity that other people have, even if they cannot live up to those own standards. They know that those are the standards. And even though they don't walk those standards, they respect the hell out of people that do. And I do feel like there's something to be said about that with the whole Trump Vance thing. Now, on the flip side, Vance and Pence are not very far apart in lettering. So I also thought perhaps this was just easy for Trump to remember. Maybe it was also just they could reuse items. I don't, it could be a stupid, like I'm saying, like,
Yeah, because all you had to do was cross out two letters of
yes,
the
there
original
you
Trump
go.
Pence
Yeah,
sign.
they just got to erase it off, throw it in VA instead of PE, and you got Vance. So
Right.
but really, I'm making a joke just to say, like and yeah, there's speculation too. Like maybe people that pull the strings behind the scenes were telling Trump, like, listen, you're not going to win if you don't pick this guy. But at the same time, too, I just think that there's people that are way more deep state that they could have thrown at Trump. I don't think that JD Vance is the deepest of the deepest. And
Well,
I feel
I
like
think, see, I see JD Vance as the new school deep state. You know, you hear people
like not Nikki Haley, but yes, yeah.
right, like you hear people like, I think it was Tucker Carlson who said like all the right people hate JD Vance. Well, the reason like a guy like Mitt Romney would hate JD Vance is because he sees like the younger deep state lion, you know,
Coming to take it. Yeah.
coming to take his place. I mean, come on, you have to at least examine this guy's Silicon Valley background and his relationship again with Peter Thiel, CIA contractor. I mean, basically, I see him as a Fed. I see Trump just chose a CIA, NSA, you know, the new school of that. But
Yes,
you
yeah.
know, uh,
2.0, deep state
yeah,
2.0.
yeah, right. That's a perfect way of putting it. Deep State 2.0. So that's why I think you're seeing a lot of these well, a lot of the old guard express their distaste for him. Now, one of the positives is that, you know, I've heard JD Vance express that he doesn't feel like we should be involved in Ukraine. You know, we shouldn't be giving them any money. Like, okay, great, this is all well and good. I agree, and that's one of the things I'm optimistic about regarding a second Trump administration. However, my question to JD Vance is like, okay, that's great. Now do the Middle East. Tell me what you think about the Middle East, because right after he accepted that nomination, he was doing an interview with Hannity talking about how we need to hit Iran hard. And so I don't know. All we could do is just sort of sit back and watch this unfold. But I'm very skeptical about what this guy's true intentions are, who put him there. And I'm also, you know, it is interesting to see all of these big Silicon Valley guys throwing their backing behind Trump, you know. Even Elon Musk, who is the guy, you know, he says a lot of great things, but I don't really entirely trust him.
No,
I mean,
not at
if you
all.
have a brain chip if you have a brain chip company, I inherently don't trust you
Yeah,
completely.
You're on probation with me until
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know
it's
full till I meet you, until we have a slumber party, till I really get a real set. You know what I mean? You know how you like you know people, but then like you have like a slumber party, and then it's like now we know each other. Like we really know each other. So it's like me and
right.
Elon, we all need you, me, Elon, and Lex Friedman need to
And
have a big
and
sleep.
Tucker Carlson.
And
I want to
Tucker, yeah, because I
I
can't
want to
get a
get to
read
know
on
him a
him.
little bit
I
better too,
can't get a
because
read on him. Oh, I do want to complain about that real quick. That I wanted to say sorry, gotta say it. I'm gonna ruin any future for us to have any influential show because we like to tear down everybody.
say it.
But Tucker Carlson, why are you speaking at the RNC? Why are you standing next to Donald Trump? All he has done for the last since his new reign, since he, you know, came out of the woodwork from he was like lost in the woods. Like he was on MSNBC, then he got lost at sea and he was shipwrecked and they found him on a deserted island with not Tom Cruise, with Tom Hanks. They rescued him and they put him on Fox News. And then suddenly he became this superstar. And he's been telling us how the Democrats and the mainstream media, MSNBC, ABC News, CBS News, all of these, you know, the New York Times, the Washington Post, how enmeshed they are with the Democrats and the regime. And then we see Tucker Carlson speaking at the RNC. How can we trust Tucker Carlson to tell us the truth when he's rubbing elbows with these people? You have to separate. I'm saying this as a friendly suggestion to Tucker Carlson and all of these conservatives people. Like you can't criticize the mainstream media for having a direct line to the Obama administration and to the Biden administration and carrying water for these people if you're literally going to introduce Donald Trump. Like,
Yeah, you're
I
sitting
can't
there
trust
right
you.
next to Donald Trump, and
Yes.
you know
I would
Tucker's got intelligence ties too. You know,
Yeah, we
his
know.
father was in
Yeah.
the CIA. It was like one of the main things that Putin called him out about during the interview. Remember, he brought that up,
Yes,
like, oh,
yes.
you
Yeah.
you applied to be at the CIA. good thing they didn't accept your application. Remember he said that?
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, it's just my friendly suggestion to our good friend Tucker, who I know tunes in every week, that
Of
maybe
course.
Tucker, you should decline that invitation next time, because at least it's the optics. It's the optics that you need to think about. That if you are trying to tell people that you are seeking the truth, we need you to not be enmeshed with someone who might be the president, because if he is going to do things that go against our liberties and our freedoms and our democracy, our republic, then you can't be hanging out with him. You can't, which,
Right.
as if all of you know, Hunter Biden, Tucker also asked Hunter Biden to write a letter recommendation for one of his sons to go to college. So like I said, there's some things in Tucker's past that are a little bit questionable. So, like you said, and my favorite thing about Tucker, oh, sorry, this is totally going off on a tangent, but my favorite thing about Tucker right now, it's not even Tucker, it's like the aura of Tucker, like the worship of Tucker, that like I get so many clips. I please leave in the comments if you get these clips too. It's like Tucker has become an expert on like everything in life.
Everything
Like
under
he's
the sun, like health,
yeah.
you know, politics, like
Yeah, yeah.
family,
Yes.
what you should do, like with your wife, how you should, go about your
What sex
relationship.
position?
Yeah, right, right. Everything. Tucker is just your go-to guru. And I told you he led me astray with the whole nicotine thing.
Yes,
I
he
had never
did.
tried nicotine before in my life, never smoked a cigarette in my life. As you know, I
It was
decided I
Tucker.
was gonna stop at my local 7-Eleven and pick up a packet of these newfangled Zyn pouches. Never dabbled in anything like this before in my life. And oh my God, did that 3 milligrams in pouch make me so sick? I had to get in bed and just, lay down. I felt like the room was spinning. This was Tucker's fault,
This was
for
Tucker's fault.
somebody
Yes.
somebody who's so Tucker seems to be very anti-marijuana, anti-cannabis. Let me tell you something. I never had an experience as negative using cannabis as I did with this Zyn pouch that I picked up at 7-Eleven. So I don't want to hear your whole nicotine, your pro nicotine. I'm
Yeah,
sure it has
yeah.
its benefits, but all I know is I feel pretty awful. So
Well, like I
that's
said,
my bone to pick with Tucker.
it's just funny, like getting all of these recommendations for like these little videos. And it's like, what does Tucker recommend you what kind of woman should you marry? Although I do have to say, I agreed with him on that statement. He said that you should marry a woman who has a good relationship with her father. And they asked him why. And he said, because I've just seen it. I've seen where when they hate their father, they have bad, daddy issues, or they don't like their father. It's
They're not
usually a
going to respect
difficult
you.
relation. Yes. And it's a difficult relationship. So I was like, okay, all right. Tucker was right about that. And he was probably right about some things going on in Rafa. And there are other things that he
Yes.
hits the mark on. But this is what people need to hear. And I'm sorry that we're going on this tangent about this because there's so much to talk about today. But
We're going to wrap it up in a bit.
it's called glean. You need to glean from people. Just because they're right about one thing doesn't mean they're right about everything. And I think that that really needs to be known. Like people get so upset about like Joe Rogan about certain things, or they get mad about Tucker Carlson about certain things, or Ben Shapiro, et cetera, et cetera.
Candace Owens,
Candace Owens, like
my girl.
no one is like Colin and we get on here every week and we express that we are not experts and we are here to have a conversation, but we're not here to tell you that we have everything figured out. Michaela Peterson, I mean, look at Jordan Peterson. He wrote an excellent book. He has inspired so many men to live their lives with more abundance and take ownership over their existence. And while he was on this worldwide tour telling you to get your shit together, excuse my French, I try not to curse on the podcast. He was on tons of drugs. You know what I'm saying? So it's like people
He was
like,
tripping balls
yes,
during
like
some of
it's
these speaking
yes,
engagements, probably.
exactly. So I'm saying like you have to take what people say with a grain of salt and really think for yourself. And I think that that's what like come listen to us, but think for yourself. Like get out there, do your own research, figure out
Right.
how you really feel about a matter. Take, I think for instance, like I talk a lot, Colin knows how much I love finances and I love budgeting, and I
Ugh.
love all that stuff. And I know he's detests it. But like Dave Ramsey, I give him so much credit for like getting my act together when we first got married and just giving us a path and giving us, just good guidance. But I don't agree. I don't even particularly like Dave Ramsey. I think he'd be a nightmare to work for, but I gleaned what I liked from him. I took those principles, I put them into place, and I give him respect where respect and credit is due. But I don't think that, but there's these people that they want to believe that someone out there has all the answers. And the only person that has all the answers died and hung on a cross and rose again in 3 days. And his name was Jesus Christ. Christ is king. He's the only person, the only man that ever lived that had all the answers. Outside of him, he said that I knew what was in man and I didn't trust them because I knew what was in their hearts, And so I'm saying, that is what you need to do. Stop looking to these people. Stop looking at a Jocko Willink or Lex Friedman or Joe Rogan or,
I
Joe
take good
Biden
I
to have all
take
the
pieces of
answers.
nuggets of wisdom from Andrew Tate all the time. I think that
Yes, yes,
a lot of what he says about money is right, is spot on, but I don't particularly agree with his
yes.
lifestyle and his messaging about other things. That just, take the positives, and kind of just at the end of the day remember that these are just very, very flawed human beings, that are in front of a camera talking much like you and I. Well, I mean, they're a lot
Yes.
richer than you and I, but
Yeah.
that's the main
Please,
difference
please give
there.
us money, please, for our Better Health episode. Better
Well,
Health needs to advertise because this is a Better Health like this is a session every week. This is just what we do here. We need to wrap this up and go to the horoscopes.
yes, yes.
So,
If you're new to the ReEducation Camp podcast, months ago we started a tradition of reading the horoscope of Donald John Trump, the 45th and most likely 47th president of the United States, and we started to get into Biden's horoscope. After the debates, I think we started that, and now that we know officially as of today, Biden's just going to see out this term. We're going to read Trump's, and we're going to read Kamala's, who,
absolutely.
could be our 47th president, could be the first woman,
Female.
female Indian slash African American slash, I'm not sure what president,
Jamaican.
nobody knows really,
Yeah.
but that's okay. That's okay. We're going to
Whatever
read.
works, whatever
Yeah.
works. People project onto her. So, and we always read these, like I don't pre-read them. I like to read them in the moment, even though I don't give really any credence to horoscopes. I just think it's fun. I like to dabble in witchcraft, I guess you could accuse me of.
I give a
So
lot of credence to them, as you know. I run my life based upon the movement of the planets and the
you're
stars.
like, I can't go out today. I can't have a cup of coffee because of what this said. I'm gonna choke and die. So we're gonna start with Donald Trump, former president. Although today's full moon warns you cannot afford to go mad with your money, you may find it hard to hold on to your cash. There are so many bright, shiny objects out there you've got to possess. Make sure they have a decent resale value. We got
Hmm.
that was like last week, it was like a financial one, or like 2 weeks ago it was
Yeah.
for, I like to think that the astrologer, Sally Brompton, I like to think that she just writes these with Trump and like them and nine. All right, so today we have so we found out that Kamala Harris is a Libra. So here is the Libra horoscope for today, July. I don't even know what month it is. It's July 21st, whatever. Who cares?
July 21st, Sunday, July 21st, 2024, year of our Lord. There you go.
You seem to be a lull unto yourself at the moment, and today's Venus Pluto link up will do nothing to change that. On the contrary, you will believe with some justification that you can do anything you please with
Ooh.
nothing more than a mild slap on the wrist by way of punishment. Go on, break some rules.
That's semi-relevant, I would say, based upon the current events. You can do anything. You can beat Donald Trump. You can become the first female president. You can,
Do
this
it
could be like
all.
a real life Well, this has been a real life Veep scenario. I don't know if you're familiar with the show Veep with Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
I did not, but she
Funny
became.
show, but it's very similar to Kamala as vice president and possibly our next commander in chief by January 2025. But wow, what a very interesting. Very interesting. These past few weeks have been like a whirlwind, and we thank you, you fine folks at home who are watching this on your TVs or watching it on your phones while you're in the bathroom. You know, however it
Watching
is you're
this
watching
from
us.
your, yeah, watching this from your prison cell. We hope that you're
Yeah,
allowed to watch it and tune in. Maybe you
we
can watch it
appreciate.
in the common room
Right.
in your facility. But I will say before we go, I'm just hoping that, like you said, I maybe the last couple weeks, Katzenberg from Hollywood, because I keep thinking to myself, like, wow, this is the stuff movies are made of. So maybe Katzenberg is just directing this back in Hollywood from his Beverly Hills studio. And he's just going to come out and it's going to be like, you know what? We needed to do something to save Hollywood. So we've just made the entire country a reality show. And that's like what's been going on. But I want to say that I think there's a silver lining that might come out of this. And I'm hoping for it. I'm going to cross our fingers because I want to be a guest on the show. I am hoping that when this is all said and done, Hunter gets his own podcast. We can be on the show and then we can start to see clips of Hunter giving us life advice. So that is just a future. That is something that I just hope that puts a little bit of hope instilled in you into your heart today. That I know that
Hey,
the times are rough, they're scary, inflation's high. You don't know what's going to happen. We came a quarter inch from a civil war last Saturday, but you know what? We might live to see a day of the Hunter Biden podcast, and that's something I can hope for.
I'm in agreement with you. I mean, as we were saying, he probably does have some nuggets of wisdom that he could offer. I mean, he's had an interesting life. He's a very well-traveled man who has dabbled in various things throughout his life. So I'm with you there. I do hope we see that. Well, I'm sure Joe's going to pardon him.
Yeah,
I'm sure that's going to be one of his
I think
last.
he's a renaissance man. He's a, you know, a high paid consultant from Burisma. He's an
Yeah, he's an energy
artist.
expert,
Yeah,
artist.
yeah.
This
So
guy has
this
really
man,
done it all in his life. He's accomplished more than you and I ever will, that's for sure. But hey, listen, on that note, I think we're gonna wrap things up here for real. Thank you folks for hanging in there and listening to our musings and ramblings concerning these historic events that are going on right now in our country. Please follow us on X, give us a follow on Twitter, subscribe to us on YouTube, Rumble. We're on there. We can be found in a lot of places. So, on that note, I'm sure we're going to be back right here next week with another exciting, fun-filled, educational, entertaining episode of the ReEducation Camp podcast. So, have a good week, everybody, and hang in there.